So, When Momma Prayed is basically it's a story that involves my mother. My mother was a woman that prayed. So the whole idea kind of came from her, and it kind of blends in some of my upbringing. Akron is a real place, and it really is in the literally in the middle of nowhere. And we actually still have some relatives that live there. So it's a touch of real and then some made up. So this current production of When Momma Prayed came about when I got a phone call from a good friend of mine, Greg Stevens, to tell me that his dad had just passed away, and that really shook him up. And that made him look at life and say, hey, you know, I want to do something positive with mine. And he goes, man, I thought about the play you did. He says, tell me about it. What are you doing with it? And I said, nothing. I said, you know, I'd like to put it back in the theater, but if I did that, I want to do it right. And I said, to do that would be very expensive. And he said, well, why don't you remind me about it? Tell me about it again. So I did. And he says, Darryl, I love it, man. That's the positive thing I'm looking to do.
So I just called Darryl and I asked Darryl about the rejuvenating this beautiful play that he had written some 5 years ago, which did very well. It's on its first run at Mixed Blood Theater, sold out shows, but it's a very small production. And I said, this feels like something we could, if we got the right people together, we could make this thing huge and beautiful and wonderful for people to really feel and enjoy and get something out of.
So he says, I want to produce it for you. What do you need to put it back in the theater? So I said, well, you know, I wrote some songs for it and I need to get them recorded. Well, the next thing I know, he calls me back and he's got Matt Fink on the other line. Matt Fink was with Prince for 12 years. He was his keyboard player. He was with him from the very beginning of his career. And really, his right-hand man. They co-wrote music together. So Greg said, hey, Darryl, tell Matt about your play. So I did, and Matt said, hey, I love it. Come to my studio. Let's talk about it some more. And the interesting thing about it is, when we talked to Matt, he had a background in theater, and so did his parents. And he said, you know, if I never got hooked up with Prince, I probably would have been writing music for theater. So I asked him if he wanted to be the music producer, and he gladly accepted, and him and I got busy right away writing an original soundtrack for the play, and the music is great. I mean, I love it. It was an awesome process, and we're all happy with the way it turned out.
Matt was all over this thing. He said, absolutely, I'd love to do this. So we kind of got a real ad-lib meeting together, and the next thing you know, I just said, let's get this thing going, let's get this production, let's do it right, let's find the right people, which the cast is undoubtedly the right people.
We have some awesome talent from actors that have worked in New York, Chicago, all around the U.S., and they wanted to be a part of this play, and they're the right people to head it up. And even the support singers from around town, Billy Steele, Tamatha Lene, Tanya Hughes, Sarah Renner, Cameron Wright, and the list goes on. So many people wanted to give their talent to the support of this play, and they're awesome musicians and singers. And what I also like about this is some of my fondest memories was with Greg and his brother and his dad. His dad used to let us record on his high-end recording studio equipment, which was top of the line. I mean, this is what top-end singers and musicians are using in studios, and he let us have unfettered access to his equipment.
I was, of course, a button presser, so the more buttons I pressed, the more interesting and strange things I saw that would happen. And as that process evolved, we were able to take away some of the buttons that were pressed and find exactly what the sound that we wanted. And Darryl and I were making all this great music from back before, during our college days.
And our friendship always centered around music. So when Greg asked to produce this as a result of his father passing away, at the time he didn't know that the music was a very important part of this. And he learned it in the process, but I thought it was very appropriate because his dad actually played a role in my interest in recording and learning how to record music.
And the play is so musically driven, and it's so inspirational that I think it's sort of a full circle thing that's happened with us doing this production, and I'm very proud to be a part of it.
When Momma Prayed is it's on its way with the original soundtrack, and we're all excited to see it in the theater.